Hi everybody, this is one of a series of videos on editing Fusion subdivision and strip settings. Together those settings will help you get the best possible Fusion mesh. This video looks at the sub-D settings. The sub-D level of a Fusion mesh is derived from its source meshes. Typically, Fusion adds one or two levels of subdivision to the source mesh when creating the Fusion mesh. Looking at the source meshes of this Fusion model, we see that the original quad size of the three boxes is similar. The quad sizes of this ellipsoid, which is used to trim other geometry, as you can see here, are somewhat larger. Same is true for this large central disk. Its quads are relatively large. Unifying the Fusion mesh's quad sizes and making them appropriate to the size of features of the Fusion model is key to getting the best results. Looking at this surface, where the ellipsoid trims the vertical boxes, we see that the relatively low density of that trimming ellipsoid does not provide much of a mesh for Fusion to work with. In this case, that low density is not causing any obvious problems. And while modeling, there are performance advantages in keeping densities low. However, equalizing mesh densities and providing a sufficient density to properly resolve any geometric features or details of your model is always a good idea. So if we look at the user channels for that trimming ellipsoid, we see the two subdivision channels that were added to the mesh when it was attached to the Fusion model. For now, let's focus on the first channel, Fusion subdivs. It sets the sub-D level of the parts of the Fusion surface derived from this particular mesh. By increasing it, we'll get a denser Fusion mesh wherever that source mesh is in play. That, in turn, leads to better resolution and quality of the strip geometry associated with those surfaces. Again, the ideal is uniformity of mesh density throughout the Fusion model, and sufficient density to properly resolve all the features and detail of your model. Of course, truly uniform quad sizes are not usually possible, and for that matter, not necessary. Fusion is pretty tolerant of differences in quad sizes between the source meshes. And excessive density, like we get if we bump that mesh's sub-D level up another notch, doesn't really improve anything, and of course creates a performance hit. And again, lower densities are usually handled pretty well by Fusion, and you can trade a few imperfections in your working mesh for a more fluid modeling workflow by keeping the densities low while you're modeling and increasing them when you get ready to output your mesh. You'll notice that changing densities tends to affect strip characteristics, width and otherwise. In the future, we hope to provide additional tools and even some automatic compensation for those changes. For now, just be aware that you may wish to adjust your strip settings after you've made mesh sub-D level changes. Here's another example of reconciling quad sizes. In this case, I'm adding a smaller mesh primitive, and naturally it has smaller original quad sizes. As you can see, Fusion really has no trouble fusing those smaller quads to the larger quads of the destination surface. On the other hand, I don't think I need that level of detail in the new geometry, and I can equalize the quad sizes by going to the new mesh's user channels and lowering the Fusion sub-D level. So, using the source mesh's sub-div settings gives you independent control over the source mesh's cage density and the Fusion surface's density. And reconciling quad sizes among a model's source meshes results in better behaved strip geometry and an efficient overall Fusion mesh appropriate to the model's level of detail. All right, thanks.